You know that feeling, that sense that maybe things just aren't bouncing back quite as quickly as they used to.
Hmm.
Maybe you're feeling a bit more tired, or a little sniffle seems to hang around longer than you remember.
Yeah,
If you're
definitely.
over 60, you've probably noticed some of these shifts. And it's only natural to start thinking about keeping your immune system strong as you get older.
It is. It's definitely a common thing people wonder about. We hear a lot about immunity and aging, and sometimes, it can feel like it's all downhill.
Right.
But the really encouraging thing to keep in mind is that you actually have more influence here than you might think. Your everyday habits make a huge difference, no matter your age.
Exactly. It's not just some automatic decline. What we've been looking at really highlights that while, sure, immune-related stuff can be more common as we get older,
Hmm,
it really underscores how important it is to understand what's actually happening and, what we can do ourselves to stay healthy.
that's right. The way our immune system operates does change a little bit as we age.
Yeah.
We might see a slightly slower response from those key white blood cells.
Okay.
And inflammation can sometimes tend to stick around a bit longer. Plus, we might not absorb certain important nutrients like, say, zinc and vitamin D quite as easily.
Ah, yeah.
But the crucial thing to understand isn't that our immunity just disappears. It just becomes, well, more responsive to how we live our lives.
And that's actually really good news then, because it means we have some control.
Precisely.
What we've been seeing is really positive, pointing to research that shows even in your 70s and 80s, simple things you do every day can have a big impact on your immune health.
Absolutely. Big impact.
We're talking about practical, science-backed steps that can help you feel stronger, more resilient. So where do we even begin with these daily habits that can really make a difference?
Okay, a fantastic place to start, and it might surprise you with its simplicity, is actually how you greet the day with some sunlight and
Yeah.
by getting hydrated. It's a gentle but surprisingly powerful combination.
Sunlight and hydration. Okay, let's unpack this. So the sunlight part, that's mostly about vitamin D, isn't it?
It is, yeah,
I know we hear a lot about that for keeping our bones strong.
precisely. But vitamin D's job goes way, way beyond just bones. Think of it almost like a master key for your whole immune system.
Really? A master key.
Yeah, research has actually linked low vitamin D levels to a higher chance of getting respiratory infections, those tricky autoimmune issues, and even slower healing if you get a cut or something.
Wow.
Vitamin D, you can think of it as your immune system's kind of on-off switch. Low levels mean a weaker defense against infections and, like I said, slower healing.
Wow. Okay, so it's much more than just a bone helper. And we were looking at some info that mentioned just 15 minutes of morning sunlight without sunscreen can really help your body make its own vitamin D.
Mhm.
That sounds pretty easy to fit into the day.
It really is remarkably simple and effective. Think of it as just a natural way to give your immune system a little nudge to get going each day.
Okay.
And then comes hydration. After a night of sleep, your body can get a little, parched.
Hmm.
And that dehydration can actually make it harder for your immune cells to talk to each other and for your blood to flow efficiently. All crucial stuff.
So that explains why some people recommend lemon water in the mornings then. What's the benefit of adding the lemon specifically?
Well, starting your day with warm lemon water helps to rehydrate your cells nicely. It can aid in flushing out any buildup from overnight,
Okay.
and it even supports the movement of your lymphatic system that's so important for carrying immune cells all around your body.
Right, the lymphatic system.
And you can even add just a tiny pinch of sea salt that can help replenish lost electrolytes. And maybe a little bit of ginger. That can have a nice calming effect on any underlying inflammation.
Hmm.
Small steps, but they really create a solid base for the day.
That makes a lot of sense. So start the day right, some gentle sun, hydrate with some lemon water, maybe add a little salt or ginger, simple enough.
Yeah.
Now, what about things we might be doing that are actually working against our immune system, especially as the day goes on?
That's a really important area to think about. Our information highlights that the immune system does a lot of its repair work while we're sleeping. A lot.
Okay. Repair work during sleep?
So anything that messes with that sleep can have a ripple effect on our immunity. We're talking about things like the blue light from our screens late at night,
Guilty.
those tempting bedtime snacks, and even that evening glass of wine some people find relaxing.
Ah, the usual suspects. Okay, so blue light from our phones and TVs. How exactly does that mess with our sleep and then our immunity?
Well, blue light basically tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime,
Okay.
and that puts a damper on the production of melatonin. Now, melatonin isn't just about making you sleepy. It also plays a role in keeping our immune system regulated. Without enough melatonin, you don't get those deep, restful sleep cycles where your immune cells can properly repair and, importantly, multiply.
That's fascinating. I hadn't really thought about that deeper connection. Okay, and what about those late night nibbles? Sometimes it just feels like a little harmless treat before bed.
I know, but unfortunately, eating late, especially sugary or carb-heavy snacks, can really interfere with that immune repair process.
How so?
Well, your digestion system kicks into high gear when it really should be slowing down for the night.
Right.
That diverts energy away from those crucial immune tasks. Plus, that sugar rush from those kinds of snacks, it can actually suppress the activity of your white blood cells for several hours.
Ouch, several hours. That late night sugar crash literally crashes your white blood cells too. That bedtime biscuit is a temporary comfort with a lasting immune cost.
Exactly. It's not ideal.
Okay, not good at all. And what about alcohol? I know a lot of people enjoy a nightcap to wind down. Seems relaxing.
It might feel relaxing, but even just one alcoholic drink can disrupt your REM sleep, which is so vital for immune restoration.
Ah, REM sleep.
Yeah. It can also lead to dehydration, which we know isn't good, and it has been shown to suppress immune function for up to a full 24 hours.
24 hours from one drink. Wow. Okay, so it sounds like creating a more immune-friendly evening routine is really key then.
Yes, definitely.
What are some practical things we can do instead of these late-night saboteurs?
Simple swaps can really make a difference. Try dimming your lights maybe an hour or so before you plan to go to bed.
Good idea.
Turning off those screens, phones, tablets, TVs, and maybe picking up a good old-fashioned book instead.
Mm-hmm.
Aim to eat your last meal a couple hours before you hit the pillow, give your digestion time.
Okay.
And herbal teas like chamomile or lemon balm can be really soothing and nice.
Yeah, I like those.
And, for those who find it genuinely hard to switch off, it might be worth talking to a doctor about something like magnesium glycinate. It's often well tolerated and can help improve sleep quality for some people.
Magnesium glycinate. Okay, good tip, but check with the doctor first.
Always.
Those are some great, easy to implement ideas. It really highlights just how connected our sleep and immune health are. Deeply connected.
Totally.
Now, we often focus on adding healthy foods to our diet, right? But we've also seen that we should be mindful of some supposedly healthy foods that might actually be working against our immunity. That sounds a bit backwards.
It can definitely be surprising. We often reach for foods labeled low-fat or heart-healthy or even sugar-free, thinking we're making a good choice.
Yeah, seems logical.
But sometimes these processed foods contain hidden things, sneaky ingredients that can actually weaken our immune defenses, especially as we get older.
Like what specifically? What should we be keeping an eye out for on those labels? Give us the inside scoop.
Well, refined carbohydrates and those really ultra-processed ingredients are the main things to be aware of.
Okay.
Take low-fat yogurt, for example. While it might have some good probiotics, many brands pump it full of added sugars and artificial flavors to make up for the lack of fat, for taste.
Ah, to make it taste good.
Right. And, as we've already talked about, that extra sugar can really dampen the activity of your white blood cells. Puts the brakes on them.
So our good intentions might be there, but these sneaky added ingredients can kind of undo some of that benefit. What else should we be a little wary of in these seemingly healthy options?
Processed oils. Things like soybean oil, corn oil, vegetable oil blends.
Mm-hmm.
They're really common in a lot of packaged foods.
Everywhere, right? Muffins, salad dressings.
Exactly. Crackers, baked goods, all sorts. These oils can contribute to more inflammation and oxidative stress in the body.
And those are bad for immunity.
Right. Both of those can keep your immune system from working its best. Creates kind of a drag on the system.
This is really good to know. It's almost like we need to become label detectives. But for those of us who might have been eating this way for a while, maybe relying on some of these processed foods, is it too late to make a positive change?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's the great news. One of the wonderful things about our bodies is their ability to bounce back, and that definitely includes the immune system.
Cute.
What we've seen suggests that you can start to see improvements in your immune response relatively quickly once you start making more positive food choices. It's truly never too late to shift towards more whole, natural foods.
That's so encouraging to hear, really. So instead of these potentially problematic healthy foods, what should we be focusing on bringing into our kitchens and onto our plates?
The focus should really be on vibrant, whole foods. Think lots of colorful vegetables. They're packed with antioxidants.
Like leafy greens, bell pepper?
Exactly. Fruits that are high in vitamin C, like kiwis, strawberries, oranges, the ones.
Mm-hmm.
Incorporate healthy fats from things like olive oil, avocados, fatty fish like salmon. Those are fantastic.
Good fats.
Yeah. If you enjoy yogurt, choose plain Greek yogurt and then add your own fresh berries or a tiny bit of honey for sweetness.
More control that way.
Much more control. And, whenever you can, cooking at home gives you the most control over what you're eating and ensures you're prioritizing those whole unprocessed ingredients.
That sounds like a really positive and, frankly, tasty shift. Okay, so moving beyond just what to avoid, what specific foods can we actively include to give our immune system a real helping hand? Like the superstars.
Ah, yes. This is where we can really harness the power of immune nutrition in action, as they say.
I like that.
We've seen examples of people in their 80s who regularly use simple, powerful foods to support their health. Let's talk about some key ones. Garlic, for instance.
Ah, garlic. Love garlic.
It contains a compound called allicin, which has been shown to boost the activity of our white blood cells and has natural antimicrobial properties. Kicks things up a notch.
Okay. And you mentioned a tip for it.
Yes. A little tip here is to crush or chop the garlic and then let it sit for about 10 minutes before you cook with it or eat it.
Why is that?
That helps to really activate the allicin, makes it more potent.
Oh, that's a great little trick. Get the most benefit. Okay, what other foods should we consider adding to our meals?
Bone broth is another fantastic option. It's rich in amino acids like glutamine, which is so important for a healthy gut lining.
And the gut is key for immunity, right?
Huge. A significant portion of our immune system resides in our gut. So happy gut, happy immune system.
Got it. What else?
Turmeric. With its active compound curcumin, it's a really powerful anti-inflammatory. Super easy to add to soups, rice dishes, maybe make a comforting golden milk latte.
Golden milk. Nice.
Mushrooms, especially varieties like shiitake and maitake, have been shown to help increase the production of protective immune cells, like little bodyguards.
Okay, shiitake and make cake mushrooms.
Pumpkin seeds are a great source of zinc, which we know is essential for immune signaling and overall defense. Easy snack.
Zinc, right.
Green tea is full of compounds called catechins, which have antiviral properties. Nice swap for other drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, fermented foods. Things like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir. They're wonderful for supporting a diverse and healthy gut microbiome.
Back to the gut again.
Yep, which is truly your first line of immune defense. Feed those good bugs.
That's quite a list of really beneficial foods, and they all sound pretty easy to incorporate into daily routines, actually.
They really are.
It doesn't feel overwhelming either.
Yeah.
We saw that even starting with just adding one of these in each day can start to make a difference.
Exactly. Start small, build consistency.
Now, we've talked a lot about diet, sleep, avoiding certain things, but what about movement? I know that plays a big role in our overall well-being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's crucial. Think about those days when you might feel a little tired, maybe a bit achy, and the idea of just staying put seems very appealing.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
But what we've seen really highlights the difference between that feeling and the actual immune benefits you get from just, say, a short walk outside. Regular gentle movement is a really powerful way to support a strong immune system, especially as we get older.
Gentle being the operative word there, right? We're not talking about needing to run a marathon or hit the gym hard every day.
Exactly right. Really intense workouts aren't necessary, and honestly, they might even be a bit counterproductive sometimes, putting too much stress on the body.
Okay.
What's truly beneficial is consistent, rhythmic movement. Think things like walking, maybe brisk walking if you can, stretching, like gardening, or even something like Tai Chi.
Tai Chi, yeah, I hear good things.
These kinds of activities help to improve your circulation, which gets immune cells moving. They reduce stress hormones, which we know suppress immunity, and they get your lymphatic system flowing properly.
Right, moving those immune cells around where they're needed.
Precisely. It's all about keeping things flowing in a gentle, consistent way.
That makes perfect sense. We even saw some information that mentioned research, I think it was from Harvard, suggesting that just 20 minutes of moderate movement most days of the week can have a significant positive impact on our immune defenses.
That's right. 20 minutes, 5 days a week, totally achievable for most people.
Yeah.
And the great thing is that you can tailor it to what feels good for you. If joint pain or fatigue are concerned, things like chair exercises or water aerobics can be fantastic alternatives.
Good options.
The goal is simply to find movement that you enjoy, or at least don't hate,
Yeah.
and that you can stick with as part of your regular routine. And what's really lovely is that when that movement brings you even a little bit of joy, that feeling itself can be another little boost for your immune system.
I love that idea. Movement as something enjoyable, maybe even joyful, not just another task on the to-do list.
Exactly. Find your groove.
Okay. Now, we've covered the physical aspects of health pretty well: diet, sleep, movement. But what about those less visible stressors that we all carry around? We saw some information about how stress, even low-level stress, can really impact our immune system.
Oh, this is such an important piece of the puzzle. Huge. We often think of stress as those big, dramatic, life-changing events, right?
Yeah, like losing a job or moving house.
Right. But it's often the chronic, low-level stress, the drip, 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 that can really wear down our immune health over time without us even fully realizing it.
Like everyday worries, frustrations.
Exactly. Financial worries, family stuff, traffic, feeling a bit overwhelmed by the news. It all adds up and contributes to this underlying stress.
And even if we feel like we're managing okay on the surface, our bodies might be experiencing something different internally, right? How does this kind of ongoing stress actually weaken our immunity?
When we're under chronic stress, our bodies release cortisol, the main stress hormone.
Right, cortisol.
Now, short bursts of cortisol can be helpful in a crisis, fight or flight,
Yeah.
but prolonged high levels, that can actually suppress our immune function.
How does it suppress it?
It can make our white blood cells less effective at doing their job. They get sluggish.
Mm.
And it can contribute to ongoing low-grade inflammation, which hinders our body's ability to heal properly and defend itself effectively.
That's a really important connection to understand. Chronic stress equals sluggish immune cells and more inflammation. Not good.
Not a good combo, no.
So, what are some practical daily things we can do to better manage this hidden stress and help protect our immunity? Little things.
Simple, consistent practices can really, really add up. We've seen that incorporating just 5 minutes of deep breathing exercises each day can make a difference.
Just 5 minutes.
Yep. Slow breaths in, maybe hold for a few seconds, and then a longer, slower breath out. That can really calm your nervous system and help lower those cortisol levels almost immediately.
Okay, deep breathing.
Yeah.
What else? Keeping a gratitude journal sounds maybe a bit cheesy to some, but just jotting down 3 small things you're thankful for each morning can genuinely help shift your focus towards the positive.
Changes your mindset.
It really does. Connecting with someone who really listens, not just surface chat, but a real conversation, even a short one, can be incredibly beneficial for lowering stress.
Human connection.
Yeah. And spending even a little time in nature, sitting in your garden, walking in a park, even just looking out the window at some trees.
Yeah.
It's been shown to lower inflammation markers.
Nature therapy.
Kind of. The key takeaway here is that finding moments of peace and calm isn't just nice to have. It's actually an active way to protect your immune system. Peace is protection.
Peace is protection. I like that. Those are all really accessible and valuable tools. Okay, another really fundamental part of staying healthy that we've touched on a few times is sleep. We've seen how crucial it is for our immune system to do its repairs.
Absolutely fundamental. Sleep is really when your body gets down to the business of fixing and restoring itself. It's prime time for repair.
And yet, we've seen the stats. A significant number of people over 60 experience problems with sleep, whether it's falling asleep, staying asleep, or just not feeling rested.
Yeah, it's common.
And this is something to really pay attention to because during deep sleep, your body releases those really important infection-fighting messengers called cytokines.
Cytokines, okay.
Think of them as the immune system's communication network, rallying the troops. Your body also makes new immune cells during sleep and clears out toxins that have built up during the day. It's like nightly maintenance.
So if we're not getting enough good quality sleep, we're basically making it harder for our immune system to do its critical job properly. We're shortchanging the repair crew.
Exactly. You're leaving the system vulnerable.
Okay, so what are some key things people can do to try and improve their sleep, really prioritize it?
Well, establishing a consistent bedtime routine is so important. Signal to your body it's time to wind down.
Same time every night.
Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day. Yes,
Yeah.
even on weekends, as much as possible. Helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, your circadian rhythm.
Okay, consistency.
Minimizing your exposure to that blue light from screens in the hour or two before bed is also really helpful. We talked about melatonin disruption.
Right, dim the lights, read a book.
Exactly. Creating a bedroom environment that's cool, dark, and quiet can make a huge difference. Optimize the space for sleep.
Cool, dark, quiet, got it.
Limiting how much you drink a couple of hours before bed can help reduce those nighttime trips to the bathroom that break up sleep.
Practical tip.
And there are some natural supports that might be helpful for some people. Again, magnesium glycinate comes up. Tart cherry juice has some evidence behind it. Calming herbal teas.
Mm-hmm.
But as always, it's a good idea to chat with your doctor before trying supplements, even natural ones.
Good reminder. And what if you do wake up during the night and can't get back to sleep?
Yeah.
Just lie there stressing.
No, actually, the advice is often to get out of bed for a little while if you're wide awake after, say, 20 minutes. Do something calm and quiet in dim light. Read a bit. Listen to relaxing music until you feel sleepy again. Then go back to bed. Avoid associating bed with frustration.
Break the association. Smart. Those are all really practical and helpful tips for making sleep a priority. It's clearly non-negotiable for immunity.
Truly non-negotiable.
Okay, now, the world of supplements, it can feel so overwhelming, right? So many bottles, so many claims.
It really can. A bit of a minefield.
We've seen some information about specific immune-supporting supplements that might be particularly beneficial for folks over 60. What are a few that seem to have good science behind them?
Yeah, it's true. Figuring out supplements can be tricky. And the most important thing to remember, always, is that they work best when you already have a solid foundation of healthy habits in place. Good diet, sleep, movement.
They're supplements, not replacements.
Exactly. They supplement a good lifestyle. However, there are some that have shown particular promise in supporting the immune system as we age. Vitamin D3 is often recommended.
We talked about D earlier.
Yep. It's essential for activating immune cells, and many people, especially older adults who might get less sun, tend to have lower levels. Deficiency is quite common.
Okay, D3. What else?
Zinc plays a really important role in helping wounds heal, fighting off infections, and in the actual production and function of our white blood cells.
Zinc for wound healing and white blood cells. Got it.
Vitamin C, the classic. It's a powerful antioxidant and helps support our body's natural barriers against infection, like our skin and mucous membranes.
Can't go wrong with C.
Probiotics can be beneficial for supporting that healthy balance of gut bacteria, which, as we've discussed multiple times now, is so closely linked to our immune function.
Back to the gut again. Probiotics.
Yep. And for more seasonal support, when things are going around, some people find elderberry or echinacea helpful. There's some decent evidence there for shortening duration, maybe.
Elderberry, echinacea for seasonal use.
And one more maybe worth mentioning is quercetin. It's a natural plant compound, an antioxidant found in things like onions and apples.
Quercetin?
Yeah, there's growing research on its potential role in modulating the immune system's response and helping reduce inflammation.
Interesting. Okay, that's a really helpful overview. It sounds like being targeted with supplements, focusing on potential gaps like vitamin D or specific needs like gut health, rather than just taking a random multivitamin or a whole bunch of different things, is the smarter approach.
Generally, yes. More targeted is often better. And we also saw a really important piece of advice about supplements, didn't we?
Yes. What was that?
Absolutely critical.
Mm-hmm.
Always check with your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before starting any new supplements.
Right. Especially if you're on other medications.
Exactly. There can be interactions. And be cautious about those megadose products or formulas that list a whole long string of ingredients you've never heard of. Often, a simpler approach with well-researched single supplements is both safer and more effective.
That's great guidance. Don't just grab stuff off the shelf without checking first. Okay, now, the last piece of the puzzle we looked at was perhaps a little surprising, maybe, in the context of physical health, and that's the power of social connection.
It might seem unexpected, doesn't it? Connecting immunity with friendships.
Yeah, but the link between our social lives and our immune health is actually really significant, based on what we saw.
It really is. Research has shown pretty clearly that older adults who experience social isolation or feelings of loneliness tend to have higher levels of chronic inflammation.
Higher inflammation from loneliness, wow.
Yeah. And a weaker immune response when challenged, say by a vaccine or an illness. They even tend to recover more slowly from illness or surgery compared to those who feel more connected.
That's a really powerful connection. How does our social life actually impact our immune system on a biological level? What's the mechanism?
Well, think about it this way. Connection signals safety to our bodies, to our nervous system.
Safety, okay.
When we feel seen, heard, and supported by others, when we feel like we belong, our bodies release feel-good chemicals like oxytocin. Our stress levels tend to go down.
Less cortisol again.
Exactly, less cortisol. And as a result, our immune system is strengthened, less suppressed. Loneliness, on the other hand, can trigger those chronic stress responses that actually dampen our immunity over time. It's like a state of low-level threat.
So, nurturing our relationships isn't just good for our mental well-being or our happiness, it's also actively supporting our physical health and our ability to fight off illness. It's immune care.
It absolutely is. It's a vital part of the whole picture.
So, what are some simple ways people can foster more social connection in their lives if maybe they're feeling a bit isolated?
It really doesn't have to be anything complicated or overwhelming. First step is maybe just thinking, who are my people?
Identifying your network.
Yeah. Who are the people in your life who make you smile, who you feel comfortable talking to, who you know have your back, even in small ways?
Hmm.
Then, make a conscious effort to reach out and connect, even briefly. That could be as simple as joining a local walking group or a book club.
Shared interests.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Calling an old friend you haven't spoken to in a while just to say hello. Attending events or clubs in your community libraries. Senior centers often have great programs.
Getting out there.
Or even just striking up a brief, friendly conversation with the cashier at the grocery store or your neighbor over the fence. Those brief, positive social interactions can still make a difference.
Little moments count.
They do. We're fundamentally social beings, and that connection is so vital for both our mental and physical resilience. Don't underestimate it.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. A really comprehensive look at natural ways to keep our immune system strong as we get older. The big takeaway for me really seems to be that even though our bodies naturally change as we age, we are far from helpless when it comes to our immunity.
Not at all. Far from it.
Small, consistent things we do every single day. These habits we've talked about, they really add up to make a big difference in how much energy we have, how well we can fight off illness, and just our overall sense of well-being and peace of mind.
Exactly. It's all about recognizing that you have the power, real power, to actively influence your immune health through the choices you make every day.
Yeah.
What you eat, how well you sleep, how you move your body, how you manage stress, and how you connect with others. It's a really empowering way to look at aging and health.
It really is, and it's a great reminder that we're not just passively getting older, we're actively living. And we have the ability to shape our own health and vitality even well into our later years.
Absolutely.
We've covered so many valuable ideas today, from starting the day with that sunlight and hydration, right through to making sleep a non-negotiable priority and nurturing our connections with others. It all works together, doesn't it?
It truly does. It's a holistic approach. All these pieces support each other. And as we continue to explore ways to thrive as we age, we'll definitely be diving into other related topics in future discussions, building on this.
Sounds fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing all this valuable information and insight today. It's been incredibly helpful.
My pleasure. Great conversation.
And to you, our listener, remember, you're not alone on this journey, and you really are stronger than you think. Take one small step today.